Well, obviously, if you hedged your bets on the Hawks winning last night, you bet wrong because they didn't give you what you wanted. They did not give us the W that I really thought they could get because, of course, those first two games were very, very competitive. One, the Hawks won at the buzzer. One, the Bulls won at the buzzer. So you're looking for the Hawks to win and go up in the series 2-1. You're looking for them to erase the memory of what happened Saturday. You kind of said, it was a back-to-back. Okay, fine. No, this is a team that looked like they were going back to the median, like they were regressing back to the median in the 111, 100, 100 loss. And the reason I say that is because of 18 turnovers that led to 25 points for the Bulls. 19 travels. Like you got called for traveling 19 times. And it just, I just don't understand. It just make it make sense because honestly, the rotation that the Hawks utilized the first time, and I do want to talk about that rotation that they utilized this time, but the first couple of times it worked. It's just that you beat them at the buzzer one time and they got you the other time. But what I saw last night was an absolute head scratcher.
Like just watching that game, and I was just having a conversation with the wife, you know her name. This morning I was just, and she literally called me because I literally fell asleep, full disclosure, during the game, and then I woke up probably about 2:00 this morning, so I'm watching the game, and the wife was upstairs asleep, and then she called me. She was like, I can hear everything that you're saying right now, and she knows that my frustration was coming out. She was like, I heard you last night. What in the world these do? And why did the I was like, I'm so sorry. I just had to put the game on mute because if I put the game on mute, I can just kind of focus in and just watch the game and just take it all in. But
Yeah.
just watching this game, just guys just looking at each other as a dude to make a layup, or guys just getting, standing out the way on the rebound, or guys just turning the rock over and just lollygagging back up the court. And we'll hear from Landry Fields in a little bit on that. And I think that it's just, and when you talk about traveling, like this is basic basketball 101.
Yeah.
My goodness. And John Collins, dude.
Yeah.
Like he can be so goofy on the basketball court sometimes.
Yes.
I'm just like, what are you doing? And him trying to throw alley-oops to Clint Capella. I'm like, no, that's not your game.
Not right.
What are you doing, sir?
Yeah.
It's just really, really frustrating to you to see. And then Andre Drummond, he the Hawks killer, he just comes in and just comes off the bench. And thankfully, Billy Donovan has something against him because he doesn't really play him that much when he plays against Augsburg. When he gets in, this dude is so efficient. And, and when you think about that, like bigs just going off, getting rebounds, and they're forcing turnovers. And they got Alex Caruso looking like he doggone Meta World Peace in his prime. And I'm just like, it's just frustrating. See, this team is just so frustrating. Chuck, we talked about this team being magnet. This team is just absolutely ridiculous when it comes to a night in, night out base because you don't know what to expect.
You don't. And I don't know that I like that lineup either. I get that DeAndre Hunter was out. Hopefully he's feeling better. He had an acute asthma situation last night, and it happens. And we didn't have Onyeka Okongwu, who's still dealing with the hamstring tightness that he'd been dealing with since Saturday night. We get all that. So you're missing a lot in those guys. However, when you see that the guys at the 3 and the 4 are not there, your starter and your guy who's a pseudo starter coming off the bench, that's what you replace that with. I don't think that three guards was the answer to the Bulls because they played you long and they played you big. Now, I good that DeJounte 6'10", Bogey's probably 6'7", but I just don't think that was the right lineup. I really was looking at AJ Griffin and saying, okay, he only got 31 minutes. Why didn't he
starter?
There it is. Why didn't he get the start? Because inserting him in the lineup gives you 3 bigs to go against their 3 bigs.
Yeah.
And last night, it wasn't necessarily because 111 to 100 is not that big of a deal in the NBA. So it wasn't necessarily like a scoring fest per se. Yeah, you had spurts from certain guys, but I also felt like, wow, this was a situation where I wasn't quite sure that the lineup that Nate put out there to start and maybe kind of continued was that right lineup because as per his usual, AJ Griffin shined when he got out there. And I would also say Jalen Johnson could have been used a little bit more to give him an opportunity to get rhythm at some end of the court, whether that was his rhythm on offense or defense. So
Yeah.
a little bit of that was shaky. But to your point, whomever is out there, you just need to play ball. You need to play at its basic level. You need to move the ball. You need to get out in transition. Just plain do your job. But that said, Landry Fields can tell you better than I can tell you what he expects as the job for this team for going forward.
But it doesn't come down to one play. As much as it's such a significant play, you can go back in time and you don't need to have a last 2-minute report. You need to have a whole game report. There's something that happens in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, early in the fourth, that if you changed it or you made the right read on this, the game has a completely different outcome. They always look at that and it becomes isolated, or as if that's the only thing that impacts the game. And that's just not true. And our guys have to be mature enough to understand that. And then going into Chicago last night, I didn't really like our effort in the first quarter. I don't know why the effort wasn't quite there. I'm a stickler for, if you turn the ball over, you need to sprint your butt back on defense and make an effort to try to make up for what you just did. And when I don't see that, that's not winning basketball.
Not at all. That's how you get 25 points off of 18 turnovers if you're the opposing team. And Jarvis, he's right. It was, even if it was going to come down to the final play yet again, it was still never going to come down to the final play. No different than it was Saturday, because Saturday was a 19-point lead blown. Last night against the Bulls was a 13-point lead blown. And then when you kind of dig into the numbers, it's the abysmal number. The Hawks shooting like 63% from the free throw line. It's not who they are. It's not who they are as a team. So to me, that was problematic, because as a team who complains all the time about not getting enough calls, not getting enough opportunities at the charity stripe, okay, you got them last night and you didn't do anything with them. So that number bothered me as, you began to kind of dig in like, wow, are you kidding me?
And that's focus, T. That's nothing but focus.
Yes, it is.
Turn the ball over, free throws. You're already a really good free throw shooting team when you're locked in, and they just weren't locked in, and that's a problem. When you're talking about, it's one thing to get beat. I get it. Like, it's one thing is for a team to just be like, all right, it was their night. Hey, they shot 60% from the 3-point line or something like that. It just, and y'all were contesting. All the shots were contested. It wasn't nobody sitting there wide open making those shots.
Right.
I understand that, and it happens on night in night on the NBA in the NBA. But when you have a scenario where, like you said, you go to a zone defense and you're looking at guys making layups, and you have a situation where you turn the ball over and not getting back on defense, Trae Young, and you're sitting up there, traveling and fumbling around the ball. It's easy to see that you all aren't focused.
No.
And that is a big problem coming off the loss that you had Saturday night against the Hornets.
Exactly. Yeah, it once again tells you that, hey, the Hawks just seem to think that they can turn it on at any time. But when you look at that stat line and you look at the fact, and I know I said, 63%, but when you look at the number, I go back to the number of free throw opportunities. And Jarvis, this game really, I know the final score was 111-100, but really, this game was about 106-100 and 108-100. And the Hawks were still within earshot of a win.
Right.
When you have 19 opportunities at the free throw line and you only take advantage of 12, that's 7 points right there. 7 points. So if you take those 7 points and you take something like that poor decision making that you just called out, JC passing to Clint for the alley-oop, that's about 2, maybe 3 points if he gets to the line. That's your gap right there.
Yeah.
That's your gap. And if you had done those things just even a little bit more consistently, you probably would have won the game. But you can't stick around and focus on what happened last night or even Saturday night, because you have 5 of your next 6 games that are on the road, and it's in a very critical juncture. You got about 2.5 weeks until you get to that trade deadline. So what is it, Jarvis, that you're looking for? What do you need to see on this road trip, whether it's from one individual or whether it's this team as a collective, that'll tell you, okay, now I know exactly what the Hawks need to do on or before February 9th?
I think the decision has already been made. I think either one or two guys or both And Bogdanovich and John Collins will not be a Hawk after this trade deadline because something needs to happen. There needs to be some type of shock to the system or something saying that, hey, everybody's on notice now, including you, Trae, because you need to be the catalyst for this team as it goes along. And I think that what the Hawks need from a guy like John Collins, he can't really give it to him on a nightly basis.
There it
Like
is. Yes.
we saw what he is capable of to start the season, being one of the better defenders in the league, and I think he was averaging over one block a game, and just being a guy that just doing what he's capable of doing. Like, because at the end of the day, Travis Lang didn't pay you that money for you to doggone become this all-world player. He paid you to do what he know you're capable of, and he hasn't been able to do that on a consistent basis. And I think that something needs to happen, whether it's him, Bo, or both. You know, because you have to get rid of somebody of some type of value to be able to get something in return to get what you need. So I think that my mind is already made up, and based off of what I heard from Landry Fields, his mind may be made up as well, T.
Yeah, I think so. I think we're going to see some moves made. And like you said, at this point, you're probably going to have to package something because John Collins isn't worth what he was worth maybe 2.5 years ago. And if you want to see who is the most logical player to package that's going to get you what you want, it's probably going to be Bogdanovich. And to be honest with you, he's definitely had, flashes of who he was. But if you can get out there and get yourself one more sharpshooter and definitely get yourself somebody who's more reliable at the 4 as far as being a double-double. I haven't called John Collins Mr. Double-Double one time this season because there haven't been enough consistently strung together double-doubles. Then, the Hawks have to go for it because right now they sit at 8th in the East. And who in the Sam Heck wants to even be that close to the play-in line? But if you want to hear about some exciting moves or what the word is on the street about moves that are going to be made, check out Locked On Sports today because they give you immediate impact about things like when Hachi Chimura moves from the Wizards. Right, exactly. When he moves from the Wizards to the Lakers, that was obviously their move to say, hey, we know we've got to do something so that we can get into the postseason. Check out Locked On Sports today. They'll give you all the information, even reaction to Patrick Mahomes saying, no matter what, I'm playing. I am playing. So you check us out on YouTube, Odyssey app, or wherever you download your podcast. I would strongly recommend you check them out as well. And of course, you guys absolutely love For the Culture because you tell us you do. So we think you'd like your take of the day as well. So again, that's Locked On Sports today for all your big reaction to the biggest stories in sports.